Three, two.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Coworkers podcast. Josh and I are incredibly frustrated right now because we wanted to record at 6. It is now 7:05 p.m. Yeah, we wanted to fiddle around with the settings real quick to see how well our mics would be.
And to fix that reverberation from
From the
last episode. Yeah.
But I think we got it fixed, so we hope this turns
Hopefully.
out. Yeah, hopefully this turns out good. But yeah, welcome back to the Coworkers podcast. Sorry about last week we didn't have an episode because this time Josh got his fucking vaccine.
Yeah. It was my turn to finally get shot.
Yeah.
And
I mean, personally, I didn't want a walking zombie.
Oh my god.
So
I see how this I understand what you're saying.
So he needed his rest, his beauty sleep.
That's good writing right there.
There you go.
That's a callback.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
We call that a reference in screenwriting biz. But yeah, we are back again. Another week delay, but we have some fresh topics for us to just dive right into.
Yeah,
and
Josh told me that he wanted to talk about something that would fucking blow my mind. So let's hear it, Josh. Let's hear it.
Okay, so topic of today's episode on Coworkers has to do with animals. And subsequently, there is a trailer for the new Space Jam movie that came out. Space Jam: A New Legacy, I think it's called.
Fun fact, I haven't even seen the first one.
What?
Yeah.
You haven't seen the first Space Jam? This guy calls himself a movie fan. This guy was getting on my case about not watching Arrival, but now I'm going to get on his case about not watching Space Jam.
I know, I'm a hack.
God, I can't believe it. But anyways, the trailer for Space Jam: A New Legacy came out, and there was a lack of the character Pepe Le Pew. And on the internet, he got canceled. And it's because of, like, the idea that this character stood for, like, unwanted advances on, like, this cat character. And it came off really, really strange and, like, bigoted because he's French, too. It's like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? He's a skunk, too. So there's a lot of, like, really bad things about the character and how, like, overly perverse and sexual in nature Pepe Le Pew is. Now, that's not the thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that there is a sequence in the movie, I'm pretty sure it's the climax of this new Space Jam movie, where there's a bunch of different properties. It's almost like Ready Player One. Like the Iron Giant shows up.
Yeah, it's like the what's that clown's name from It?
Pennywise?
He's in there. Yeah, Pennywise is there.
Pennywise the clown. Yeah, so a lot of things show up to have a cameo. Eagle-eyed viewers saw that some of the characters in the movie are dressed up like a Clockwork Orange. And for anybody that's unaware of a Clockwork Orange, there's a very gratuitous home invasion / rape scene in the movie. And they are dressed up like the main cast of characters in those, like, iconic costumes that a lot of people associate with those characters. And I just feel like it's so weird that, everybody is up in arms because of the Pepe Le Pew thing. I'm not mad that he got canceled. I just think it's kind of strange that they're gonna keep Clockwork Orange characters when they're all, like, terrible human beings. And, like, that's the kind of, like, the whole jive of the movie.
Yikes.
And I know that it's on the characters only show up for, like, maybe a split second. It's a cameo, but it still stands that, like, they're gonna include, but, like, people make a big fuss because everybody knows Pepe Le Pew. But I'm guessing it's just the fact that not everybody knows what Clockwork Orange is, even though it is a Kubrick movie, and it's
really fucked up.
It's really fucked up, but it's highly regarded as, like, a very well-made movie, and like it's on kind of like a landmark movie. But anyways, that's all I really wanted to say, and how, like, kind of interesting that dynamic is, mainly because of, like, mainstream versus, like, underground, I guess, type of thing, and how things could fly under the radar because of their notoriety and how well known things are. And I don't really have any other, like, big, bold, like, points to claim or anything. Like, because Clockwork Orange is in the movie that I want Pepe Le Pew back. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just an interesting Easter egg, I guess, since that's what they wanted to do with the ending of the movie.
Yikes. Well, who's producing it? Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Warner Brothers handles that. I mean, they've been in hot water in Hollywood recently because of the whole like HBO Max thing.
Oh yeah, because they refused to be a part of it, right? Like Day One Digital.
No, they were like, let's throw all our new releases onto HBO Max without telling the directors, without telling the producers, without telling the actors. We're just all gonna throw it on there. And Christopher Nolan, right? Because Tenet was on there, right? Christopher Nolan was like super fucking like upset that he's like, no one told me this, and now he doesn't want to work for Warner Brothers anymore. So I don't know, man. I don't know what kind of business decisions that they're making, but I guess we'll just see what happens now.
Yeah, and prior to that, there was the big, Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut came out, and prior to the release and whatnot, people were boycotting WB. There's a lot of stuff a lot of fire, a lot of flack that they're under, and unjustly so. One of the casualties of the review bombing, one of today's discussion points, Godzilla vs Kong.
It got
review bombed.
It did?
Yeah, it did. But on IMDb
Wow.
and stuff like that, where people were like, fuck Warner Brothers, like, restore the Snyderverse, release the Snyder Cut, even though it's already out, but restore the whole universe. And yeah, it's like voracious fanboys just wanting to be angry at something, getting their pitchforks, getting all riled up and whatnot.
Yikes.
So before we tackle the end of the trilogy, or saga, because it's actually 4 movies, I kind of forgot about one. Franchise, yeah, that is the correct word. Today's big discussion, is the Monsterverse and how it came to a thunderous conclusion the past few weeks.
So we think. Who knows what's going to happen in 2-3 years?
That is true, because Adam Wingard, the director of Godzilla vs. Kong, went on record to say that the Monsterverse was created and tailor-made so that we could get to Godzilla vs. Kong, and there are no plans after it to make any subsequent movies. Depending on the box office success of this installment, then they might go ahead and make another monster movie, but we'll just have to wait and see. I hear it's breaking records in terms of like quarantine movies, like movies that to come out in this era, that this might be the movie to revitalize the interest of going to theaters. And if it took a giant monkey to get people into theaters,
giant lizard also.
Oh yeah, I gotta talk about the reptilian representation in this movie also. But yeah, I heard it made like well over a few $100 million.
Ooh.
Given the current sociopolitical climate, like, that's very good, and I just hope that theaters' hearts are beating thanks to King Kong the Giant Monkey.
Yeah, just safely though.
Yeah, safely.
Not just throw a bunch of people in the same fucking packed room.
Just to scream about two giant CGI monsters beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, do that safely, please.
Do it safely.
But yeah, going into Godzilla vs. Kong, I've only seen Kong Skull Island, right? And I, growing up, was never a big, like, kaiju kind of kid.
Yeah.
I've never seen the original Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I barely saw the Peter Jackson King Kong, So going into this, it was, it was kind of like a blind viewing experience. But
yeah, you have no prior association with these properties,
Yeah.
You have no like incentive or
and honestly, like I honestly had no interest.
Yeah.
Like when Godzilla first came out, I was like, okay, cool, they're doing Godzilla. When King of the Monsters came out, I was like, okay, whatever. I had no interest. But then now that Godzilla and Kong came out, and I had rewatched the other two because I've already seen Kong Skull Island, and I was like, this shit's kind of dope. Like this shit is fucking dope.
So you went back and now we're talking about the first Godzilla, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna start here. Godzilla 2014, directed by Gareth Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
I get his name confused because the guy who directed The Raid and The Raid 2, his name is Gareth Evans.
Oh.
Oddly similar. So I kind of fumbled the two names. Gareth Edwards.
Yeah.
Also responsible for Rogue One, which I think the best part about Rogue One was the part on the final planet, and they see the AT-AT, and Gareth Edwards is very good at creating scale.
Yeah.
He's really good at selling it, and how big and terrifying certain things are.
I think that's one thing I liked about the first Godzilla movie, even though we didn't necessarily see a lot of Godzilla, right? And I think that was like a lot of people's like biggest complaint was like, there's not enough Godzilla. But I think Gareth Edwards did a great job in like showing how freaking massive he is. Because in that one airport scene,
definitely,
which it's kind of nitpicky, but I'll touch it maybe later on. Who knows? But
okay,
but when Godzilla's big ass foot just stomps
down toes, bro.
Stomps down, and all the humans are like looking up at him. I was like, whoa.
It's an insane scene. Like that single take panning, tracking shot left to right, and I really appreciate like the reaction of the people, the fact that like the other giant monsters that Godzilla's fighting, they're original to this movie. They're not a previous property that is found in other Toho pictures. And when they see this thing, they're all screaming. It's called a Muto, and they're screaming at the Muto, and they're all afraid. But the moment Godzilla stomps his giant foot, everybody goes dead quiet, like a recognition of like power or like a godly entity or something like that. There's like a new vibe that is being presented to the audience, and I think it is sold so effectively.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite sequences of that movie. I think, you know, another thing that I noticed about when people talk about the Monsterverse is that they claim how the movies have underappreciated cinematography. And you know what? Like, the CGI work and the camera work of some of the movies, not all four of them in particular, but they're definitely, like, good, you know? They range from, like, serviceable to good, but none of the examples use Gareth Edwards' movie, which I think has the best cinematography out of all the movies. Especially when it comes to, like, Godzilla. You know, like, the sequence where the troopers are halo jumping.
Oh yeah.
That is insane.
With the red
with
smoke
the flares and everything. Yeah. Oh man, I remember watching the trailer. I'm gonna show you like the original teaser trailer for the movie. It not only is it a great like showcase of like what the movie's going to embody, but the way that it's presented, it has like this sense of dread. I don't know how, like, it's just like given like the music and like the sound cues or like the lack thereof music, because that's what was happening in the first teaser trailer, and then the shots of the halo jump, and then the part when the people are on the roof, it's kind of like a shaky cam footage of like someone's like recording it almost, of like he's like watching over the building, like it's a POV of a guy, and he's like looking over a skyscraper, like he's like looking off the edge, and he looks up at another building and they shoot a flare and it follows the flare, and it's just like this, you know, it's Godzilla, but he's so big you don't know what part of him you're looking at. Yeah. And it's just like this like looming sound effect of like his body just like moving through the air, and I'm like, wow, like that is really, really good. And I really like that about this movie. Gareth Edwards really adopted a less is more approach. Yeah. Which definitely didn't sit well with a lot of, you know, audience members. Yeah. And like, whatnot. I guess a lot of people were going in there like... It's divisive, Yeah. They're like, oh, we want to see big monster fight, right? But then they, you know, it got... I hate to say grounded, but it is almost like a grounded movie. Yeah. Where it's like you see everything from the human's perspective, and you see just how like big and like out of this world like these creatures are. Most definitely. And I think that was the best way to have a modern interpretation of Godzilla, given that the original movies and a lot of its sequels in the monster universe, Toho's monster universe, is this guy in a suit. And they try to like do stuff with scale, but only because the guy in the suit is knocking over like cardboard buildings and stuff like that. And there's still a lot of sequences where Godzilla's like a full body shot, is like what they show off.
Yeah.
And the rubber suit, we all know that it's a guy in there. It doesn't sell the fact that like he may be giant, other than like the original Godzilla movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Gareth Edwards went back to the drawing board and was making an homage to the original Godzilla as this wicked force of nature, and just to show its destructive capabilities. And I think that's why it's my favorite out of all the movies.
Mm-hmm. I think across the board, across all of the Monsterverse movies, I don't care about the human characters.
Oh, most definitely.
Like, at all. I don't care for them, because a lot of the plot for the human characters it's like literally the same. You have one person who wants to use these monsters for one thing because they don't understand them.
Yeah.
You have another one that's like, no, just let them do whatever they want, and then they butt heads. And then later, the person who is like against these monsters or whatever, they get what they get, they die or whatever. And then at the end, all these human characters, they go home and whatnot, and they celebrate or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's super paper thin across the board. So I could care less about any of the human characters. But to see them like interact with these like larger than life creatures it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like,
and I agree mostly with your sentiment about the human characters, except for Bryan Cranston's character in the first Godzilla. I think he was the most effective, probably because of Bryan Cranston's acting chops and stuff like that. And when I had initially watched the movie, like, his death came as a surprise because I thought he was going to be like a presence all throughout the whole thing, and then it turned into the Aaron Taylor Johnson show.
Yeah, they fucking killed him off early.
Yeah, and
speaking of Aaron Taylor Johnson, as a big MCU fan, this isn't necessarily a complaint.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, but seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen as a couple, and then having them be siblings a year later in an Age of Ultron, I was like,
that's kind of a doozy.
Oh.
Yeah.
And my mom and my sister were watching with me, and they were like, what the fuck? Like, okay, it's acting, right?
Yeah.
It's acting. They're fucking. It's a job. They're doing their job. But it's just.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's a bit weird. Because seeing like their chemistry at like Age of Ultron, because right? Seeing their chemistry in Age of Ultron, and then seeing this, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I get it. It's acting. They're doing their job. It's just a little weird. Not necessarily a big complaint for me.
Yeah,
I'm just putting that out there.
It's kind of just an interesting factoid,
Yeah.
like given the circumstances and the jobs of these two Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, that just coincidentally they happen to play siblings a year later. But it is strange.
But yeah, but I think I agree where it's like Godzilla, the first or the 2014 one, I think is my favorite out of the four.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you rate it?
I think I gave it like a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would say it's a B.
Yeah, I don't think my thoughts have changed that much ever since my first viewing, even though it was 7 years ago when it came out. Man, I remember vividly when I had watched it. It was my senior year, and me and 5 of my friends and my family went out to go watch Godzilla for my senior ditch day.
Nice.
And it was pretty cool because, like, as Regan said with his history with the Godzilla and Toho Pictures and whatnot, he's not very familiar with it. But I was a pretty hardcore like Godzilla fan growing up. I loved the old cheesy B-movie rubber suit like giant monster fighting like types of movies and stuff like that. Even Roland Emmerich's like Godzilla movie. I know it gets a lot of shit, but as a kid, like I used to watch that VHS to death. And like seeing this new interpretation of Godzilla, like seeing this like fully rendered and like high quality Godzilla, like the scene in Chinatown where they're trying to sneak into the Muto nest and plant bombs, and then they're trying to do it all quiet and whatnot, and then Aaron Taylor Johnson turns around and he sees like the tail like looming through the smoke, and then you just get like the silhouette of Godzilla. He's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And then he peeks down, and it's just like this uncut shot of Godzilla roaring into the camera for like 5 seconds straight. I watched that in the theater and I couldn't like fathom what I was watching. I thought it was so good. But yeah, biases aside, I gave this movie a 7, and I'm still sitting on that 7.
Nice.
Like it really like struck a chord with me, especially when he took the Muto and shot his atomic breath through his mouth. Man, was that so goddamn hype.
That was sick.
All right, now we got to move on to chronologically. I think Kong Skull Island came next, right?
Which is the first movie in the Monsterverse I saw. I saw it in theater. When did it come out? 2017?
It come out? No, wait. I don't think it came out in 17. I think that's when King of the Monsters came out.
Oh.
I think it's a 2016 movie.
Interesting. Well, yeah, so I saw Kong Skull Island with my friends in theaters. And I initially didn't have any thoughts about it going in, you know? Like, but when I watched it, I was like, I was pretty entertained. I mean, for what it was, and like I like how they... Because the first King Kong movie with Peter Jackson, they kind of put him like at a time, right? So it was like 1930s, 1940s-esque type vibe they were going for. But
it's a remake of the original.
Yeah. And so Kong Skull Island, the way that they did it, they put it like after the events of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, it's around the 60s.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like helicopters flying in sunsets. There's a lot
like
of
Apocalypse Now type
Apocalypse
shit.
Now,
Especially
Platoon.
that shot where the helicopters are flying, and then you see Kong's silhouette like standing in front of the sun and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they 100% like, what's the director's name? John Voight Roberts, I think is his name. He must have just saw Apocalypse Now like recently.
Probably.
He just put that shot in there.
But I think overall I really enjoyed it. Just seeing Kong in this well, obviously fictional world, right? Yeah. But he's not fighting a dinosaur. He's fighting like different creatures, right? And I thought, oh man, this is fucking sick, you know? And I haven't seen it since 2017 or whenever it came out.
Yeah.
So
regardless of the year.
So my memory could be a little like, you know, a little hazy. But I think overall I enjoyed it. I don't think it necessarily got me interested in the Monsterverse.
But it was a fun watch with your friends, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And like,
blockbuster movies, you know?
Just seeing a big monkey.
Of
like
course, dude,
throw fucking trees at a fucking helicopter. I'm like, what the fuck? This is insane. But yeah, and then I saw the after credit scene and I was like, oh.
What does that mean?
What?
Yeah, I thought that was your reaction. Like, what does this all mean? What does
this all mean? What is the inner the?
What is monarch? Like that's the name of the people.
Yeah, but I saw the after credit scene and I'm like, oh shit. They're trying to build a universe.
Yup.
An extended universe.
An extended giant monster CGI Battlefest universe.
Yeah. But
do you think it's funny how you relayed the thought about Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen being a couple and then being in Avengers, but Kong Skull Island is also a reunion of
Nick Fury, Loki, and Captain Marvel, yeah.
Yep.
No, I think one thing that boggles my mind is that they got the cast of Straight Outta Compton in Kong Skull Island and King of the Monsters.
Oh yeah.
The guy who played Dr. Dre is like a scientist or something.
Yeah.
The guy who played Eazy-E is one of the military members.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And then in King of the Monsters,
it's
Ice Cube's son is one of the soldiers. So I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Like there's a lot of star power driving.
Yeah.
Like aside from Big Monkey, you got a lot of like big name actors. I think Samuel L. Jackson's character in the Kong movie is hilarious. He wants revenge on the monkey, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And then there was that shot where like there's a bunch of smoke everywhere, and then he just has a stare down.
He's like on a mountain. Yeah. He's on a mountain, and Kong's just like looking at him,
just
and then
straight grimacing. Yeah, dude, it's so funny. Like, this is a movie that definitely like it really embodies the energy of a blockbuster movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go there's a lot of spectacle, it's a lot of fun, and there's even some like moments with like tension and like do you remember the scene where they're going through like what seems to be like a bamboo forest, and then someone screams
Yeah.
and they turn around,
It's
there's
a
a
fucking
leg.
giant spider.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
I was like, what the fuck?
So the fact that like they had scenes like that, like on top of all like the crazy monster spectacle, it makes for a very, very enjoyable mix. Like, you know, it's
sure.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And what else do I remember about the movie? I remember it embodied its completely cheesy and over the top nature. The moment when Kong needed backup, and then Brie Larson takes a flare gun and it's like in slow motion, and she just like shoots it at something. I totally forgot. I think Kong was fighting one of those like crawling dinosaurs.
The scroll, the
Skull something.
The skull, yeah.
Whatever, the Skeletors. Yeah, and then it like explodes, and then like Kong's just like standing over carcasses, pounding on his goddamn chest, making me think of what's his name? Denzel in Training Day. King Kong ain't got nothing on.
Jeez.
Ain't got shit on me. But bro, yeah, that is a very, very fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
And how would you rate the movie? Like what is your rating of it?
I haven't seen it in so long. I think I'd have to rewatch it, but I think just based off my memory, I'd give it maybe like a C plus, B minus.
Yeah.
You know?
It has been a long time since I saw the movie too, but I'm pretty sure most of my sentiments still stand. I don't really consider these movies like I'll watch them later down the line and maybe get something new out of it, but you know, just pop it on to have an enjoyable time, background noise, whatever. You know, I'm doing chores, I turn around, there's a big monkey on the screen, and I just start going ballistic. But from what I remember, I'm pretty sure I gave the movie like a 6, but like it's like a strong 6, you know. Definitely has a lot going for it. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's just not highbrow, you know. Like, of course it's not. It's a big monkey movie.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the third movie, which happens to be my least favorite, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
I agree.
And I might be more harsh on it than you because of my history with the Toho monsters. But Regan, take it away. What did you think of Godzilla King of the Monsters?
Oh man, I don't know what it was. I was just bored. You know, like, yeah, it's cool seeing all these monsters.
I think it's the lengthiest movie out of all of them.
I think so. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just how I felt about Godzilla and then going into King of the Monsters. It was like, it's cool seeing them, but it's like I don't know what it is. I was just bored, you know? And I think, what was it? I could, you know, it's just my opinion, but I think it suffers from like the Revenge of the Fallen thing, where they just throw in a bunch of fucking characters. There's no time to sit and like understand
to
or like
really let the movie breathe.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
it's like it's always at a constant sprint. That's what the movie feels like. And yeah, if you want to continue.
Like there's no time to sit with these creatures, and so it just keeps going and going and going and going, and it keeps going back and forth with the human characters that again I don't care for, and then when it goes to these big monsters and whatnot, it's I don't know, it's just like lackluster because it's just like humans getting away from this monster, and then they have to go somewhere else. Then they have to get away from that monster again. Then they have to go somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just wasn't like as invested with King of the Monsters as I was with Godzilla.
At least when it comes to the way I interpreted the movie, or like what impression the King of the Monsters had on me, I call this the Pacific Rim effect, where the first movie it's really fun. It's like it's super cheesy, it's very self-aware, and it knows what it's doing. And maybe the directors of the first installments of these movies like add a little bit of like magic in there. Gareth Edwards is really good with scale, and he's really good at less is more. Guillermo del Toro also did a great job with scale and like selling the power and the epicness of Jaegers fighting kaijus and whatnot. In King of the Monsters. It's directed by Michael Dougherty because Gareth Edwards didn't want to make a sequel to Godzilla. He actually saw his movie as a very self-contained movie, and he didn't want anybody to like go forward with it until it was announced that a Monsterverse is being made, and that didn't sit well with him. So he's like, I'm out. So they got Michael Dougherty, and for anybody that doesn't know, Michael Dougherty is a indie horror movie director, and then he was attached to this project, and his prior works are very small scale, so this is just like new territory for him. So I don't blame him. The fact that his first outing in trying to direct giant CGI fights like might come out noisy, it comes out a bit muddled, hard to follow and whatnot. It's like that's just kind of what happens when you do that coin flip of taking small directors and like attaching them to big properties. Sometimes you capture lightning in a bottle, like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out as well as you'd hope. And I think that's what this movie suffers from. The human characters, not only are they uninteresting, but I feel like some of them got like completely fucked over, like from the first movie. So the returning characters are people like Ken Watanabe, Sally Hawkins, and they both die. Sally Hawkins just
both die?
Yeah, they both died in the second movie.
I mean, I knew like Ken Watanabe's character died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the scene where they go to the ice base to go find the big three-headed dragon, King Ghidorah, and it breaks free and it starts shooting lasers everywhere. But then, it finally breaks out and it starts stomping everywhere. And then it stomps at a place where like Sally Hawkins is like running around, and then she just like falls, and then like she dies. And they had more to do in the first movie. Like Ken Watanabe's character is the prime. These two are like the head of Monarch. They're the prime like researchers on Godzilla.
Yeah, they're like big advocates for like the kaiju's and whatnot.
Yeah, like to like study them and to like really like respect them because they're gonna fucking murder us if we if we like mess with them in any way. And they're just kind of dead. And then like Watanabe's character like plants that nuclear bomb as Godzilla is taking a nap next to a giant fire temple, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is a movie where like it tries to it's a bit I'm pretty sure I already said it's rather self-indulgent. Like it kind of wants to be serious, kind of like Gareth Edwards installment, but then it also wants to have its cake and eat it and have big monster fights because that was the main criticism of the first movie. And because of all this like noise in my head that the movie's presenting, it rendered the fights unenjoyable, and I got tired by the end of it. Even though I thought when Mothra sacrificed herself and allowed Godzilla to get big anime power-up, which is a reference to an older Godzilla movie. It's like, you would think that maybe as a fan of the older movies that it would get the blood pumping for me, but no, I was like, it's cool, but there's just so much about what happened prior that left a bad taste in my mouth. And, oh yeah, that guy from Game of Thrones is the villain. The old man. Yeah,
he played First in Mank.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's where I knew him from.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah,
and yeah, it just led to a very long, drawn out, and mostly mediocre to unenjoyable experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is quite disappointing.
I think the funniest thing about that movie is Kyle Chandler's character, where he's like, we need to destroy these monsters. We need to kill them and blah 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 whatnot. And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, okay, we need to help him. We need to help them destroy the other ones. We need to make sure that he's alive. And it's like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
Character motivations just like come and go out the window. Whatever. Yeah. There's Millie Bobby Brown's character who's just like running around with that whale device.
The orca?
Orca, yeah, that's what they called it. And there's like all that like sciencey mumbo jumbo that like it didn't meld well with some of like the things that they were going for.
You know what's another thing that really like rubbed me the wrong way about that movie? Who's that guy? Is that the guy from Get Out?
Which one? Oh,
like,
it is.
yeah.
I know who exactly you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's the scientist.
He should not have been casted in that role, because I feel like his role was like meant for like T.J. Miller or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
I know what you mean.
Because he's like, what? He looks like he's 50, 40 years old,
Yeah,
and he's playing like a frat boy or something, or like a skater dude.
The comedic writing for the character really did not land well for him.
It's like, oh, bro, like we're like these big monsters. They're gonna fight. These big monsters are like from outer space, bro. And it's like, you shouldn't be in this movie. Like, it should be someone else. Like, you deserve better, bro. Like, I don't know what it was, but whoever casted him in that, like, you need to go to some other studio.
It's funny you say that, because that actor, man, his name is blanking on me, but he's had a few like comedic roles. Like, he's actually one of the main scientist people from Cabin in the Woods, and he's really funny in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Sure, that's him. Otherwise, I'm thinking about. Oh, his name's Richard Jenkins. No, that can't be Richard Jenkins. Am I mixing him up with the guy from Shape of Water? Fuck me. Okay, never mind. The point I'm trying to make is null and void, because I can't remember the names of these actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's the best part about it, in my opinion, is the fact that they took these classic monsters and they rendered them to look really, really nice.
Yeah, like realistic in a way.
Yeah, it's like given the interpretation of how they might look in a real world environment.
Yeah.
Like, I thought there were some shots where like King Ghidorah like looked really, really good, even though there's that scene where he first shows up to the party and he's on top of the mountain, and
then Rodan is at the bottom just bowing.
And then there's the other part when the camera pulls back and then he's like flexing his wings. King Ghidorah's flexing his wings. He is found on the left third of the screen, and on the right third of the screen in the foreground is a cross. And I'm like, did Zack Snyder direct this shot?
Oh no.
What the fuck is this? But subtlety's out the door, and I just had wished the movie might have gone just whole ass into like ridiculous territory.
Yeah.
And that is why I gave Godzilla King of the Monsters a 4 out of 10.
I gave it like a C minus. Yeah. So.
Speaking of going whole ass into bonkers territory, we get to Godzilla vs. Kong.
Monkey!
It's fucking monkey time. Like,
yo, like, I don't care what the fuck anyone says. That movie's a lot of fun. That movie is a lot of fucking fun.
It finally just went whole ass.
Yeah,
like,
because it knew what it was. The director knew what people wanted, right? It didn't try to be something it wasn't, and he just had a fuck ton of fun with it.
Yeah, and like, there's just a lot of like, it finally just like jumped off the cliff into like,
just like how fucking Kong jumped off the battleship.
Exactly. You know what he jumped into? He jumped into convenience. Like, dude, everything is explained away. You don't need to think about anything. There's a bunch of like sciencey stuff, and there's a bunch of humans, but you don't give a shit because their only purpose is to be vehicles so that Godzilla and Kong could beat the shit out of each other.
I don't really care for the human characters. But,
except for the mute little girl.
Okay, yeah,
as
fair.
a humanistic aspect, it's a reinterpretation of Kong like finding affinity with like a human female. You know, like the original King Kong, he fell in love with the girl, and then in Kong Skull Island, he saved Brie Larson's character. Mm-hmm. And in this one, he builds a bond with like a deaf mute little girl, and they can like communicate with each other.
Yeah, and she's like a native of the island, right?
Yeah, of Skull Island, and that's how like they build that connection.
Yeah,
and it lays the groundwork for some heart and whatnot, just to like give Kong like some empathy, not just be big monkey.
Yeah,
but,
That's fair.
And I guess that would be the only like serious, quote unquote, I'm throwing up air quotes right here, serious human character. Everybody else is played up to like an extremely like caricature way. Isaac
Yeah.
Gonzalez's character, holy
Dude,
shit.
we'll get to that later. But let's try to go and see it in the sequence of events.
Okay, yeah, let's start from the beginning.
But okay, so let's see.
Oh yeah, the movie starts with Kong scratching his ass. Someone got paid money to animate that.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah, but then in that scene we learned that he's
in a dome.
He's in a dome. He's being like
He's being quarantined.
yeah or whatever. And then the whole point of him is that we want him to go to this fucking land and we can research it in the middle of the earth,
Hollow Earth,
journey to the center of the earth
Minus,
type shit.
Was that the movie with
Josh Hutcherson, The Rock, and Vanessa Hudgens?
That's the one with The Rock, right? Because I know there's one with Brendan Fraser in there.
That's
too.
the first one.
Ah.
But yeah, so it's like that. That's their whole thing. And then there's a scientist who wants to go into the Hollow Earth, and then he hires another scientist who knows another scientist that can do that. And then it leads to the battleship scene.
Yeah.
Which was
lead
like
to the battleship scene.
Oh shit, this is
because
fucking sick.
The main problem was that they needed to find a feasible way to transport Kong. Like, he's not gonna take overnight shipping. Jeff Bezos doesn't have an Amazon box that fucking big to house a like 20-story tall monkey, and they put him on a boat, and he's just kind of like
and they chained him
sailing.
up.
They chained him up, and
but like they're trying to avoid like Pat's Godzilla takes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the main thing is that the moment they explain that the moment Kong leaves his domain, that Godzilla will sense that there is another apex predator on the Earth, and they're gonna fight because they have history together. Because generations ago, their grandparents fought each other in the Hollow Earth for supremacy. Like, how do you even come up with that? God damn, it's crazy.
But you know what? It doesn't fucking matter because it's fucking sick. Because seeing Godzilla like climb up on the fucking battleship, and then seeing Kong have his arm like cocked back and hit him with the hook, I was like, oh shit, this shit's fucking sick, bro.
That is exactly how I feel. And then like the scenes where like, oh my god, that slow motion scene where
when he
Godzilla shoots the beam into the air,
and
and then just like slow motion jump into the ocean, and then Godzilla's like, now you're in my domain, bitch, and then he starts wrapping around him and starts fucking like trying to drown him. Oh my god, cheap tactics. You know what you call that? Guerrilla fighting.
Guerrilla warfare.
Guerrilla warfare. That has multiple implications. Guerrilla. I don't even care how the listener is going to interpret that.
But then eventually they go to like Antarctica or something, and there's a tunnel that leads straight to the center of the Hollow Earth or whatever.
And then they fucking took a different transportation method. They took the Godzilla and they put him in a net.
Oh yeah, they fucking carry him. And then like the little girl tells her, "Oh, your family's in there," and he starts swinging. And then they fucking take the vehicles
like Tron vehicles.
No, from like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
And like as they go in, they're like like tripping out like Hank Pym was in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh my god.
And then they get in there, and then Kong's like, "Oh shit, the gravity's fucking weird," so he's like floating around everywhere.
Yeah, oh my god, he's like free falling into Hollow Earth.
And then like these like viper like winged creatures like start like
whatever the fuck, some like
attacking
snake creatures.
them, and he grabs one,
it swings
it around and hits the other one, and then like rips the head out, drinks from it and shit. Like
he starts eating. Everybody eats.
That shit's sick.
And
then eventually it leads to the throne room or whatever.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we get to that part, you gotta talk about the beautiful shot where Hollow Earth is like the core is the core of the world. Oh my god, like talking about this movie, it's turning my brain into mush. I'm droning on and on, like dragging out my sentences. But anyways, it's the core of the Earth, so it's kind of a small like piece of land.
Like Earth inside Earth.
And you could see the ceiling and how it's the southern hemisphere and how it's like the upside down part of the Earth if you're looking at it like a globe. And then Kong climbs to the precipice of a rock that looks like a hand. It's pointing like a waypoint in a video game, like, hey Kong, go that way. That's where all your that's where all your lore is. So Kong is like, okay, I know what I must do. So he pokes one of the rocks to see why it's floating, and then he jumps, and then the gravity like changes him, and there's like this like wide angle shot of him like Mary Poppins his way onto like the other side of the hollow earth. And then he like flips around. Oh my god, that part was so funny. People think Princess Leia flying through space in
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi is ridiculous. You watch this big monkey just hover through space. He flies.
Yeah.
He learns how to fly.
But yeah, eventually we get to the throne room, and we get to and we sort of understand that okay, that there is a species of Kong, and they're
hella advanced.
They're hella advanced, and they have like a throne and whatnot.
They know how to make
kingdom.
tools.
Yeah.
Out of Godzilla spikes.
Dude, that shit. He picked up that staff with Godzilla's spike, and I was like, oh
that fucking
shit.
axe, dude. That's
shit.
What do you call Thor's axe from
Stormbreaker?
That's Godzilla's Stormbreaker, bro. That's his Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Like that's his birthright.
But then fucking like some shit with radiation happens, and like Isa Gonzalez's character is like,
We
okay,
need this rock.
yeah, we got it, send it over. And oh, she's bad. Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like
and then when they try to leave, right? Because like all these like vulture,
like pterodactyl vulture pieces of shit.
They start attacking the humans. And then they attack Kong too, so he's trying to like get him away and whatnot. But as they're trying to escape in that little like ship thing,
like in that tiny Hot Wheel, yeah.
They fucking as they're flying away, Kong grabs it. He looks inside to see like who it is, and then squish.
And it squishes that
fucking
piece of shit.
skadoosh.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, bro.
I was like, oh my fucking god.
That is a beautiful way to end some characters.
Yeah,
that's
how you do it.
That is so funny. And then
we also have to go to like Millie Bobby Brown's character and Brian Tyree Henry and the guy from Deadpool and
damn, I was kind of hoping that you forgot about them because I was gonna bring up like, you know how uninteresting the humans are. You totally forgot to bring up the people that were following Godzilla.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that too.
Okay, but we have to bring it up because they actually lead into the true villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Now the thing about this, one of the parts that actually like kind of peeved me off more so than it needed to was the fact that they didn't care about the humans so much. They kind of forgot to talk about the fact that the Japanese guy is Ken Watanabe's son.
Yep.
His last name's Serizawa.
Where the fuck did that come from?
Where did that come from? And apparently, I read a discussion thread where people are like, "Oh, if you read like this extended comic or something like that, it goes more into that."
Tie-in comic. It's a tie-in comic.
I'm like, what the fuck? There's a tie-in comic for Godzilla vs Kong? Like, I need this much setup just to see why a big monkey and a big lizard are gonna beat the shit out of each other.
So Isa Gonzalez's dad is the head of this company.
It's called Apex, right?
I guess.
It's called Apex. That's what I remember.
And he doesn't like that these creatures are here and humans have to be at the top of fucking Earth or whatever the fuck.
They bow down to Godzilla and he doesn't believe that. So, okay. So there's a after credit scene from Godzilla King of the Monsters where it turns out one of King Ghidorah's heads is still alive. And because King Ghidorah is an alien, he has regenerative powers, so you would think that he just ends up building his body again. No. In Godzilla vs. Kong, they take his skull and they wire it so that it could power up Mechagodzilla. But that's so weird.
Because that's not gonna go wrong in any way.
You know what? You know what the weirdest fucking part about that is why is it wired to the skull? It's just bone. You don't get brainwaves through your skull.
Josh, don't think about it. Don't think about it.
And then at the end of the day, it's controlled by Serizawa, by Ken Watanabe's son. So it's being piloted by a human. And like, what the fuck? So then like the main reason as to why Godzilla's going around causing ruckus is because he senses the presence of King Ghidorah, and he senses that like somebody's tampering with it.
Yeah.
So he goes around the globe, fucking up like military bases, like trying to get to the source of this. And Brian Tyree Henry, his character is like a, what do you call that? Like conspiracy
theorist
podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, the people at Apex, they know too much. They're putting something in the water to turn the frogs gay or something like that. Some real Alex Jones type shit.
Oh no.
That's some Alex Jones type stuff.
Yeah.
He said that, and it embodies that same energy. And he's like, okay, something's fishy. So Millie Bobby Brown is his biggest fan, like only subscriber to the podcast or something like that. I doubt anybody else is listening to this. And she goes out, meets with the conspiracy theorist podcaster
and the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People.
And the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People. They go together. They make some Scooby-Doo gang of people.
In a van, too.
They're in a van. And then they decide, okay, we're going to break into Apex, which turns out to have the worst security imaginable. No fucking cameras, no nothing.
They just fucking go in there.
They just waltz in there into the most secret sub-level of the facility, stow away onto a Hot Wheel, one of those gravity cars. They get shot into China so that they could all meet up into one spot. And at China, they are constructing Mechagodzilla. And in order to power it up to its max capacity, they need the gravity rock from Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Is this all starting to sound fake to the listener? Because this is actually what happens in the movie. This isn't fan fiction.
Yeah, we're not making this up. This is what really happened.
We're not spitballing ideas. This is the actual progression of the plot. So, we get to the part when... So now everybody is either in China or they are in Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Now this is like the groundwork for this current scene that we're in.
Yeah.
So Kong picks up his axe. They get the moon rock. They get so Isaac Gonzalez dies, and then now Godzilla is in Hong Kong, and he senses that there is ruckus under him, somewhere under him. That like it could be that Godzilla is in. It could be that Kong is in Hollow Earth and he's like tampering with things, or he senses Mechagodzilla under him. So Godzilla readies the most powerful beam imaginable and shoots an atomic breath from Hong Kong straight through the center of the Earth, and it goes past the center of the Earth because it creates a huge hole where the throne is. And that he
just roars into the hole.
He pretty much tells Kong to pull up. Like, pull up, meet me outside, bitch. And then Godzilla looks up. I can't fathom how far the distance is, but it's like Kong can see him and starts talking to him.
And then he fucking goes up. He goes up.
It's funny because what Godzilla did was shoot a plot hole into the center of the Earth, because in order to get to China, Kong jumps into the hole, and then the rest of the people that are alive, part of the expedition into Hollow Earth, which is the two main scientists and the deaf-mute girl, they hop in their Hot Wheel and they follow Kong into the hole. It cuts, and I think they show a scene of like Millie Bobby Brown and like whatever the hell she's doing with her gang. I think this is the part when they see like they're like testing Mechagodzilla, right? And he rips through some fucking one of those skull creatures or whatnot.
That fucking scene where it's just an exposition dump, right? About how the villain, what he wants to do. Oh, humans.
Oh wait, no, not that part. That part comes later. But after we have that weird scene with Millie Bobby Brown, it cuts to the hole that Godzilla created in Hong Kong, and King Kong climbs out of it. Like, how'd he get there? He didn't go up. He went down.
Don't think about it, Josh. Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
That was so funny that like he just pops his head out with his axe. He starts like climbing up, and then comes the big fight. This 2-round bout where Godzilla and Kong meet up in Hong Kong. It's lit up by these crazy neon signs.
Blade Runner shit, bro.
The lighting and like the actual like cinematography and effects in this scene is actually kind of nuts. Like how much time and effort probably went into making this scene happen. But then comes my favorite part of the fight. You wouldn't know this reference because you're not that familiar with old Toho movies, but there was actually an old King Kong versus Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
It's from like the 60s or the 70s, and there's a scene where King Kong takes a tree and he shoves it into Godzilla's mouth. In this movie, he takes the handle of his axe and shoves it into Godzilla's mouth before he's able to breathe his atomic breath, and it looks just like the old movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
But man, fucking Kong had that fucking axe, and they're just going at it.
Hacking each
Fucking
other.
Godzilla's trying to like shoot his atomic breath. He blocks it with the axe.
He fucking blocks it.
Starts hitting him and shit. They're running into buildings. They're fucking doing all this shit, and it's like this is fucking sick. I don't care. I don't care.
There's the scenes where like Kong is like doing parkour off a building. He kicks his foot off a building and like flying punches Godzilla.
Fucking Superman punching the fucking Godzilla.
And then they're just like tossing each other, kicking each other, stepping on each other. And then there's this funny shot where Kong gets knocked to the floor. He starts crawling backwards like a POV shot, and it looks like Godzilla's trying to chase after his toes.
Oh no.
He's trying to bite his feet. And it's just so weird. It's so ridiculous. But man, is it hella fun.
Yeah.
Like, the scene where, like, Kong like leaps off like the top of this building with the axe, and then Godzilla shoots his atomic breath, and then King Kong is able to like counter it and like redirect the energy into his axe so it charges him up, like when Thor shot Iron Man with the lightning and he's at 200% capacity, and then bonk, he hits Godzilla in the face.
But then eventually, you know, like Kong gets knocked down. You know, because Godzilla stomps on his heart and like twists it and everything. Yeah. And then they just roar into each other's face.
And then he says, "Save Mothra." That's what they were saying when they were roaring.
Don't do that. Not now. But yeah, and then Kong's tired. He's like, he's hurt.
A dislocated shoulder.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden,
the rumbling happens.
And then a fucking mountain breaks. And who comes out? Motherfucking Mecha Godzilla, bro.
You know what this is? This is one big WWE fight. Pay-per-view shit, like these two are fighting, and then you hear like the Undertaker's like bell tolls, and then fucking Mecha Godzilla comes like zooming out of the damn mountain, just like crushing everybody, and then Godzilla's like, "There you are, bitch," and then they start fighting.
and then fucking Mecha Godzilla got him on the ropes, man.
There's a bunch
throughout
of
the fight,
like ridiculous scenes where like because Mecha Godzilla's a robot, he doesn't move like a normal lizard, like giant lizard. So he's like pivoting and like fucking like juking.
Dude, yeah. Godzilla. And then like I think there's this one scene where like he like cocks his arm back like just like King Kong, but it's like Transformers, so it's like all these parts move, and then he just fucking like punches him. I was like, what? Holy shit! This is fucking sick too.
And then now that Godzilla's getting his ass absolutely blasted by Mecha Godzilla, the people in the Hot Wheel finally catch up to King Kong.
Wait. But before that, because like King Ghidorah's brainwaves or whatever are controlling Mecha Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla like opens up fucking like Godzilla's mouth or whatever, and like, tries to breathe into it.
And it's about to do the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, go on.
So Godzilla's on the ropes. He's getting his ass pounded. No one's calling timeout. And the reason why Mecha Godzilla goes crazy is because King Ghidorah's brainwaves are actually the main villain. So it takes control of Serizawa, who put on that Cerebro shit that's connected with all the tubes and electrocuted him.
Yeah.
He kills the main bad guy after the exposition dump, telling everybody why he thinks humans are the apex predators. And then he starts beating up Godzilla. And in the midst of Godzilla being beat up, the people in the Hot Wheel finally catch up to King Kong's lifeless body, and the little girl's like, he's dying, he needs help, and the only thing that could save him is like charge from like a nuclear bomb or something like that, or like something of that caliber.
Yeah, fucking, it's a fucking like defibrillator.
Yeah, so the guy, the male scientist, is like, stay here, guys, I got something to do. So he pilots the car, lands it on Godzilla's chest, and is like, I hope this works. And he presses a button, he runs out, and then it shocks Godzilla back to life. He sees what's going on, and like, it's funny because he turns to see how well Godzilla's doing in the fight, and in that like split second, Mecha Godzilla takes Godzilla's face onto the floor and just like curb stomps him. And then hard cuts back to Godzilla, he's like, damn. So then he looks at a building and he pops his shoulder back in.
He rams his shoulder into the building to pop it back, and he's like, "Oh!"
He's like, "I'm good to go." Yeah, and then now comes the pay-per-view event everybody was waiting for. Godzilla teaming up with Kong to fight a common enemy. And what better way to start off the fight than to have each of them grab Mechagodzilla's arm in a tag team move and run his ass straight through a building.
Fucking Godzilla short ass arms just.
That's what I'm saying. He got tiny pudgy arms. How was he able to do that shit?
But you know what? It's fucking sick.
It's fucking awesome.
Fucking sick. I think my only complaint about that fight. So you know how in Civil War they have like Bucky and Captain America? They're like throwing the shield around and they're punching Iron Man. It's 2 against 1. I wish that they did something like that.
Some like combo moves or something.
Where they just keep going at him like together, right? But I mean, eventually like they break him apart, right?
Okay, you forgot about one very important key detail. So Mechagodzilla proves to be a tough candidate and gets both of them on the ropes because he's a robot and he's like more advanced than them. So he's about to kill. He's about to kill them until we cut back to Millie Bobby Brown's group of people, and they're trying to figure out how to tamper with the satellite that's controlling Mechagodzilla, because it turns out that Serizawa was not controlling Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, it was
a satellite in the sky.
Yeah, it was a computer or whatever.
It's a computer, and it's funny because the little kid from Deadpool, he kind of says all these funny things where he's like, oh, I only download torrents, like I don't know how to actually hack something, but I'm gonna try. And then he throws his hands up in the air and he's like, all right, fuck it, I give up. And then Brian Tyree Henry's like, oh, like I guess this is where I go out. So he takes his flask of alcohol, he's about to drink it, and then comes the completed arc of these human characters.
Yeah,
they went through all this shit, all this boring stuff, just to have the little kid take the flask and pour like hard liquor into a computer, and it fucks with Mechagodzilla's like signal to the mother computer.
Yeah,
and he starts losing.
Yeah, he like turns off. But then the best part about that fight is like when they're like down, right? They're on the ground. Fucking Godzilla is like laying down, right? So it's like a close up of his face, and he sees like the axe, or King Kong's axe, and he breathes the atomic breath into the axe, and then boom, at Mechagodzilla.
That part was like just like King Kong picks up the axe and he's like ready to just like hack into him, and he finally gets a hit on Mechagodzilla, but it doesn't cut him until Godzilla's like, big brain time. You absorb my atomic breath and I can't use my atomic breath right now, so I'm gonna charge up your axe. And he does it. He gives him a fucking anime power up.
I don't give a fuck. That shit was cool. I don't give a fuck. The
moment he started chopping off his limbs and oil was spraying everywhere, I was like, yeah, monkey. And then they win, and I'm just like, fuck yes.
They win, and then like they like stare at each other,
and then now they got mad respect for each other.
They got respect for each other, and then Godzilla leaves.
And then Godzilla's like, all right, man, you stay on your turf, I'll stay on my turf. And King Kong's like, sounds good. And they just part ways, like what is it, like Fast and Furious, when Brian was like,
you'll always be my brother, and then they fucking leave.
Brian was like, you thought you could leave without saying goodbye?
Oh my god.
It would have been perfect if they played See You Again at the end right there. And then the movie has like 5 more minutes where like
it just flashes everything. Just flashes like,
everybody's like,
an ending.
Oh my god, like happy ending. It just so happens that Hal Chandler's character, Millie Bobby Brown's dad, is also in China. So they run through one crowd.
He's in this movie too. I forgot. He was in this movie.
Who else is in this movie?
Lance Reddick
for one line.
But yeah,
I remember seeing his acting credit at the beginning. I'm like, oh my god, Lance Reddick's in this movie. And then he comes in and he says something like, I think they're gonna fight. But and that's it. That's all he had. Oh my god, it's so funny.
And then again, just. It just fast forwards these fucking endings, and then it ends, and I was not disappointed in this movie.
And there was no after credits scene.
Nope, no.
There's no hint at further developments.
None at all. And then the movie ends, and again, I was not disappointed. I got what I wanted out of it.
I was so turned. It finally just like became the absolute craziness that it wanted to be. It had all the monster fighting that all these people were begging for. And it looked good at the same time. I was talking about it in the when we were discussing the fight scene in China, but like all those neon signs and stuff like that, there are certain shots where like the lighting is just like it's very basic, like warm, cool colors, but the way it illuminated like the figures and whatnot, it looked really dynamic and it looked really cool. And I'm like, damn, this is what's up. Like that was tight.
What would you grade it? What would you grade it?
When I grade it, I think this is now my second favorite monster movie. And, you know, I am saying that. And I would say it's also like a strong 6, but it just edges out, like, you know, Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also gave it a strong 6. And, you know, it just comes down to, like, the nitty-gritty of, like, sure, it's a 6, but it's a better 6 than another movie. It's a better 6 than Kong. But goddamn, was it a very riveting 2 hours. It's the shortest movie out of all of them.
It's like like an hour 50 minutes, right?
So yeah, you just get right to the fighting.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like there's all the fat is trimmed off and it's just a good piece of steak.
Again, it's like the director knows what it's not trying to be something it isn't. It knows exactly what it is.
Yeah. Like, all Adam Wingard had to do was direct a few scenes where people just had to say their lines correctly. Yeah. And then hand off the rest of the footage to CGI artists. Yep.
But yeah, I think I'd give it like a B plus A minus, around there.
Minus?
Yeah. I just had fun with it, man.
Yeah,
it was so much fun.
It's
so much fun.
It's so fun.
But yeah.
See, we aren't just snobby, anti-fun movie critics on this channel. If there's a big monkey, you can count me and Regan in.
Monkey!
We are in it like 100%. And yeah, that sums up the Monsterverse. I think given how it ended, that this experiment was a resounding success.
yeah, for sure.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think I got it all out there.
I think I did too.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this this long take of Josh and I talking about Monkey versus Lizard, because we just had so much fun with it.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
You got HBO Max, like hell, and you got 2 hours to kill. Just pop this movie on.
Put this movie on. You're gonna have a lot of fun.
You're gonna definitely have a lot of fun. Maybe crank up the volume to 100. Wake up the neighbors or something. It's really it's quite something.
Yeah, it's something. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at coworkers.podcast. And yeah, I'm Regan.
I'm Josh.
Thanks, guys. See you guys later.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.